We left off with our protagonist getting her first lesson from her probably to-be guru. So without further ado, let's dive right into this first teaching. Thus began our dialogues. At a bench facing the river in Rishikesh under a banyan tree with an impressive spread of aerial roots, Sid began. We begin with Om, which comprises 3 letters, A, U, and pronounced as a single sound, Om. A is pronounced with an open mouth, U with a half-closed mouth, and with a fully closed mouth. The extreme open vowel in speech is A. A consonant that is closed, with U falling between the two. He chanted Om 3 times. Om. 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 I said, I understood Om as a mystical sound used to focus the mind. Sid said, Om is everything. The 3 letters that comprise Om cover all sounds. And because all letters in any language are contained in Om, by extrapolation so are all words, and words name objects. Om, therefore, contains the universe, past, present, and future. An inquiry into Om is thus an inquiry into everything. Activity along the river was picking up. I could hear shouts from the tents upstream. Sid continued. The author of the 12 verses of the Mandukya Upanishad doesn't indulge in abstruse philosophical concepts, blind faith, or mystical experience, but grounds his text in our daily experience. On the path to self-discovery, his first step is a simple but profound analysis of the world around us and our 3 states of experience. 3? I asked. Waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, he replied. But we have millions of experiences, I retorted. Every instant is an experience. True, Sid replied. However, you can agree that all experience collapses into these 3 states. Let's assume that on an average day, you are awake for 16 hours and asleep for 8 hours, either dreaming or in a deep, dreamless sleep. Say you are 33 years old. I am, I said. How old are you? I was about to ask. Sometimes he seemed youthful, and at others as ancient as time itself, but I kept this fancy to myself. That means that you've been awake a little over 22 years and asleep around 11. But do you state your age as 22? No, I don't, I said. Sid continued, Are you awake and conscious right now? I am. How about when you're dreaming? You are not awake, of course, but are you conscious when you're dreaming? I said naturally, but not the same as now. So, Sid continued, in what way is dreaming different? Me, taking a moment to reflect on this. When I dream, I'm not conscious of my body, but my mind is active. Are you implying that my consciousness when I'm awake is not the same as my consciousness when I'm dreaming? Sid says, no, the opposite. They are the same. What about when you are in a deep, dreamless sleep? He asked. I said, neither my body nor my mind are active. Sid said, but are you conscious when in a deep sleep? I said I must be. I don't lose consciousness. Sid continued, but your mind and body are not functioning. I said, that's true, but when I wake up, I know who I am at once. Sid said, exactly. And you don't just wake up, you also recall having slept well. It's not likely that you have lost consciousness since you pop in and out without effort. School children in blue and white uniforms walked single file along the river. They waved at us and we waved back. Sid continued, the question follows that if your mind and body are inactive, who or what is conscious when you are in a deep, dreamless sleep, when the waking and the dream worlds are blanked out? Absolute reality, supreme consciousness, we term Brahman, derived from the verbal root Brh, which means to grow, to expand. Present in all three states of experience, waking, dream, and deep sleep. What is the nature of this awareness, and where does it originate? The Mandukya gives us the answer in no uncertain terms, and once again without resorting to anything other than our experience of daily life. Shall we walk a bit? We moved closer to the water. The school children and their teacher were lined up facing the river, palms together. In addition to the three states of daily existence, the sage points to a fourth state he calls Turiya, which simply means the fourth in Sanskrit. What is it? I asked. I understand the three states. The fourth state, Sid said, is the silence between the chanting of two Oms. During this momentary silence, the mind is stilled, and a glimpse of that awareness that underlies the three states becomes available. To us, in fact, the three states, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, provide the gateway to this supreme consciousness. I said, Brahman. To believe in? Worship? Love? Sid said, Brahman is you. Me? Who you truly are. Isn't that a bit of a stretch? I retorted. I can accept that my consciousness bears witness to all my experiences. How does my consciousness equate to Brahman, universal consciousness? Sid asked, does your consciousness have boundaries, limits? Does mine? No, I said, but if this implies that we share the same consciousness, shouldn't I be able to read your mind, know your thoughts, and you mine? Whose thoughts? Sid asked. Who is doing the reading? Who is sitting here asking the question? The small you, your ego, bound by this world of names and forms. Upon enlightenment, you discover that you are and always were none other than that supreme consciousness, Brahman. You are existence, consciousness, bliss. You are the self that is to be known. I don't understand, I said. Sid continued, Brahman cannot be defined. To circumvent this difficulty, the seventh statement defines what Brahman is not. not conscious of the internal world, nor conscious of the external world, nor conscious of both worlds, nor a mass of consciousness, nor simple consciousness whose proof consists in the single belief in the self, in which all phenomena cease and which is unseen, incommunicable, intangible, featureless, unthinkable, indefinable, unchanging, auspicious, and non-dual. That is the self, and that is to be known. The vibrations of sound engulfed me in a soothing balm, a gentle breeze. He proceeded to narrate the story of King Janaka's dream. Noble King Janaka of Mithala was sleeping in his chambers when a soldier woke him up to announce that enemy troops were at the gate. The king rallied all his armies, fought bravely, but lost the battle and was captured. He was exiled and reduced to begging in the street. Suddenly the king shook himself awake. He was in the royal chamber. He was the king taking his afternoon nap. He had been dreaming. Distraught, he assembled his ministers. "Who am I?" he cried. "Am I the beggar in the street or the king of Mithala?" The ministers were mystified by the question. Finally, Ashtavakra, a crippled boy who had come to King Janaka's court in search of his father, answered him, "You are neither king nor beggar, your majesty. You are pure consciousness, whether playing the role of beggar in your dream or playing the role of king when awake. You alone are real." Sid continued. We can now tackle the commentary to the Mandukya Upanishad, which is in verse form, called the Karika. It was composed around the 4th century by the redoubtable Gaudapada, a grand old man who did not suffer fools gladly. His arguments are the epitome of precision and clarity. Through logical deduction, he proves that there can be no difference between the waking state and the dream state. I said, proof? Dreams are insubstantial, ephemeral, a projection of the mind. Dreams disappear upon waking. Sid said, in a dream, you can drink a glass of dream water and quench your dream thirst. This dream experience is very real to you, the dream person. How is that different from the waking experience of quenching your thirst? Both waking and dream states are equally unreal. Whatever you experience is unreal. The irascible sage, not sure how to pronounce, that's a new word for me, boldly concludes, determined to drill his points home. He was combative, and with the weapon of his poetry, he systematically laid out the fallacies of the 30 or so schools of philosophy prevalent at the time. Even reincarnation, a belief that was widely accepted and based on cause and effect of past acts. Karma takes a hit. When did karma begin? He wants to know. Karma has no beginning, his opponents insist. Then it would have no end, he counters, which means there will be no possibility for liberation, moksha. Whatever I experience, says Gaudapada, who would not soften his tone, is unreal. And the proof lies in my daily experience of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. There is only Brahman, consciousness, eternal and unchanging. nothing else. Shankara, 4 centuries after Gaudapada, would vigorously demolish all schools of philosophy, including the Buddhist notion of nothingness, Shunyavada. How can there be nothing when you exist to make the observation? In the final analysis, the argument is unnecessary. In essence, fullness and nothingness are 2 sides of the same coin. Why don't we pause this lesson from Sid to our dear protagonist on the study of Advaita Vedanta and continue it next time. So thank you for listening. An excellent introduction into the Mandukya Upanishad, an ancient text outlining the so-called secrets of immortality.